All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. It gives me great pleasure to be with you here, and I hope next year I will be with you face to face. In my presentation today, I'm going to share with you how I applied design thinking approach in my academic English for the liberal arts course. It's an EAP course at the American University in Cairo. We all know that keeping our students interested and engaged is a challenge. And the problem is that we're teaching Generation Z, who have grown up as digital natives, and they have all the knowledge at their fingertips. And they think, why should they listen to a single expert trying to impart knowledge into their heads? So I found the solution in design thinking. What is design thinking? We're going to look at, this is my outline. What is design thinking? Why apply design thinking in an academic setting? And the steps I undertook to successfully apply design thinking, and samples of my students' work, then the conclusion. So, what is design thinking? 2 years ago, I joined a year-long design thinking for educators program, a training program offered by the Center for Learning and Teaching at the American University in Cairo. And I found that design thinking was the perfect way to achieve my course goals. Design thinking approach is a problem-solving process that requires creativity and deep understanding of the user's needs. You are going to listen to some technical terms or terms that are going to be explained later on in the presentation. So with the design thinking, you work with a problem, or we call it a challenge, and you redefine and create innovative solutions to this problem. And then you prototype and test this challenge, all right? By the end of my presentation, you will see that the course goals and design thinking approach match and complement each other. Design thinking is also very applicable to different contexts. It is not the exclusive property of designers. It's not like there are designers and people who cannot use design thinking. It is used in all fields, such as literature, business, science, and engineering. Thus, design thinking process involves cooperation, collaboration, and makes the solutions more meaningful and real, and engages the students and allows them to release their full potential in the classroom. And this is why I was interested, because our course is a discipline-based course. We teach the students the different skills. I'm going to share with you the course learning outcomes in a second, but they learn all the skills through different disciplines. And in each semester, we teach 6 disciplines. So for example, in one semester, we teach education, psychology, biology, sociology, political science, and so on and so forth. So let's have a look at the abstract quickly. What I intend to do today, I will share with you the application of design thinking within the academic EAP course at the American University in Cairo, and the course provides opportunities for students to develop their communication, critical reading, critical thinking skills through exposure to different university level texts. As I said, different disciplines. Thus, the merging between the practical, collaborative, and problem-solving techniques that design thinking offers the students with, with the opportunity to practice the above skills by solving problems related to the content areas covered in the course. And I'm going to share with you a practical example. Now, these are the course learning outcomes. The first one is monitor and assess one's own ability and understanding of course material, the use of strategies and abilities. And I think this is the metacognitive part. And I think it goes a bit with mindfulness. And and then comprehend, analyze, and evaluate the text they are reading. So this is critical reading. And then we have critical listening, and then writing, speaking, academic literacy, and acculturation. So you will see how all those learning outcomes have been achieved through the use of design thinking. Now, what are the benefits of design thinking? It's an opportunity to involve students in experiential learning and problem-solving strategies. And this is part of the critical reading skill. Incorporating design thinking in the curriculum would not only help our students to acquire the skills essential for college readiness, but also will equip them for their professional lives. And now the students are always asking, how is this going to help me later on in my professional life? And of course, we need to equip them with those skills. Now, design thinking was formalized by David Kelly, okay? And he says, the world seems to divide into creatives and non-creatives, and too many people consciously or unconsciously resign themselves to the latter category. And he suggests that all of us could be creative. We just need the tools and the strategies to be so, and hence, you know, the design thinking. Now, this is the pulp, this is the core of the approach. Okay, there are 5 steps. The first one is empathize, which means you're here going to conduct interviews. So you start with a challenge. You have a problem, and then you start working on it. So the first step the students do is conducting interviews and seeking stories, or the first step in design thinking in any problem. The second thing is define the problem, reframe and create human-centric problem statement. And you're going to see it in a while. The third one is ideate, which means the students are going to brainstorm radical ideas and create solutions and build on other ideas. So here, there is going to be a flow of ideas, brainstorming, and they have to learn to suspend judgment. Why? Because one of the ideas that they might reject in this stage could be very useful later on. So they have to suspend judgment. And then the prototype, they test. They role play to understand the context and the key features, and then they test what they came up with. They're going to test it, try it out, and get a deeper understanding of what they have reached. Okay, so design thinking allows us to adopt a human-centered perspective in creating innovative solutions while also integrating logic and research. Now here, if you go back, all these steps, you know, are human-centered steps. And I'm going to explain them fully. So design thinking allows one to explore ideas, and it provides solution-based approach. Now, how did I use it with my academic course? Okay, as I said, it's a discipline-based approach, and I combined the education and psychology unit, and I had a mini project that lasted 2 weeks, and I'm going to share with you. The challenge was, how might we redesign the experience of university or school counselors in 2040? So they're not talking about the present, they're talking about the future so that they can feel and understand that they are going to make a change in the future. Okay? So this is the challenge again. How might we redesign the experience of university school or university counselor in 2040? Okay, now to help frame the challenge, you should ask the following questions. Who is your user? And what benefits are you trying to provide? And here the user is the students, the parents, all the stakeholders, maybe the counselors themselves. And why do you want to do this? And what is preventing you from doing that? Okay, so we will see the answers. Now the steps. Remember that I am using the design thinking approach to practice and to improve their critical thinking, critical reading, summarizing skills, all the learning outcomes I shared with you. So the class was divided into 3 groups. Each group started by text analysis. At the beginning, you have the challenge, and then they tweak it and work on it. And the idea was the group might differ in the angle they would approach the challenge, and this is really what happened. For example, one might take it from the counselor's point of view or the student's point of view. After they finish the text dissection, they rephrase the challenge accordingly. Okay, the following design thinking steps were modified to practice skills required and at the same time use design thinking innovative technique. The empathy phase, they did research, observation, and interviews. They went out, that was before I did this twice, once before the pandemic, and the other time I did it online. And it could be applicable both face-to-face and online. And this is critical reading. And I will share with you the program exactly. After reading and analyzing the text, the students were required to summarize it. So here they're also reading, they're summarizing, and they're also going out and doing interviews. All right, the next step that followed the empathy interviews, which involves the listening and speaking because they were interviewing people. They came back to class to unpack their interviews. And this is the word used, unpack, because they have a lot. They went out together and they come and put them down together. Each student transferred their interviews to storytelling, during which the rest of the group summarized what they listened to. So the students were unpacking their interviews and the other students in class were writing down. And they were unpacking in terms of storytelling. And we all know that storytelling is very important in our lives. Stories, they define us, they shape us and make us. So storytelling also improves the listening skill that are essential for learning. Afterwards, the students revisited the challenge to make sure the statement held what the empathy findings brought. And then the empathy stage. They conducted interviews, they uncover emotions, they seek stories, as I said, and the stories reinforce thinking strategies such as comparing, classifying, predicting, problem solving. And I'm going to share with you the stories they create. So they bring, like they go and interview from 5 to 8 people, and they bring all those interviews, they unpack them, and then later they create a persona. And this persona has everything they got from the interviews in one person. So you're getting all the information, but putting it in one paragraph or characteristics of one persona or the problems that one persona faced. Okay, this is, I'm going to go through this. I'm not going to read this, but I'm going to go through it quickly. These are the stages. And the mini project takes 2 weeks. I started in week 4 in the semester. And I start with explaining what design thinking is, and they see a video, and then the class is divided, as I said, and they go out and do critical thinking and critical reading, and they create the challenge. All this is here in this slide. Then the second week, they unpack their interviews, as I said, and they some of them speak, the others listen, and then they summarize. And each group will write their personas description on a Google Doc, and then here again, it's writing and speaking. So when they unpack the interview, they write the characteristics of the persona and what the persona, how the persona felt. And then it ends with the culmination of the project, because this is an academic EAP course. Of course, there is academic writing. So they end it with an essay, 750-word essay about what they have been doing. And the question is, what are some triggers or stressors that make students seek the help of the school, university, or the school or university counselors? And how could the counselors make the students' experience worthwhile? Now, some of the, I'm going to share with you the students' work. All right, they start with, they post their work on the board. And if it's online, they do it on Google Docs. So here is the challenge. And then here you have one group, and this group took it from, they said I think psychologists have to be more, they looked at it from the point of view of the student. Okay. And then here, this group looked at it from the emotional point of view. They wanted a trusting relationship. Another group looked at the ambience, how it should look like. All right, and yet another group, group 3. And these are everything they came up with after they interviewed the people. Let us look at the personas and how revealing they are. Okay, this is the combination of 5 or 8 interviews where the students had to combine them all together. Ziad is a freshman student at AUC. He's 18 years old and intended to major in business. The student has no past experiences with the counselors at the university. However, he had faced a huge obstacle at school that needed the intervention of a counselor. Ziad was a victim of bullying situation. Unfortunately, the counselor was ineffective and failed to help the young youth. The counselor made an unfair decision. As a consequence, Ziad lost hope and trust in counselors. Here we are not the students. This is what the students came up with from their interviews. This is a candid interview, and they're collaborating and putting everything there. There are some insightful ideas here, and it shows the effectiveness of the approach. And as I said at the beginning, the users come up with the ideas the provider never thinks of. So the process is very important. Having the question written about what the counselor can do to change things in 2040 is non-threatening. Is non-threatening for the counselors, and it's not, threatening for, because I had a question in one of my presentations. Aren't the students criticizing here the counselors, and they're not mentioning any names, but they're bringing real life, experiences and things that matter to them. Sarah is a 19-year-old girl, a freshman student at AUC, and she wants to declare in business major. Sarah broke up with her boyfriend a few months before beginning her first semester. She really lacks self-esteem and doesn't like to be around new people. The student is an introverted person, but cute, kind, and honest. She wishes to have a small circle of loyal, supportive friends and to have her own company someday. For her, ideas about redesigning the counseling office at university, she prefers that it would have some specific instructions such as no medicines unless it's from a psychiatrist. The session would be more than once a week and totally trusted. So the students here know what exactly they want. They know the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. And because this is, as I said, collection of interviews, and then they're changing those interviews into one persona. Okay, let us move on for the sake of time, and you will see that all the personas here are very, very revealing. Now, in the business unit, this was education and psychology. The challenge was, how might an individual be motivated to start a new business? Also, the students went through all those steps, went out for interviews, came back, and they came with excellent ideas. How might a startup business sustain its products and services? Now, Tim Brown says that design projects must pass through 3 spaces. Also a proponent of design thinking. It should pass through the inspiration stage, the ideation stage, and the implementation stage. So I'm looking at the time. What brainstorming? What is the problem? Where's the opportunity? What has changed or soon may change? So they have to, find out the problem by interviewing people, by brainstorming, look at the world and observe what people do, how they think. So this is all critical thinking. As I said before, it's collaboration. It's coming up with innovative solutions that people might not have looked at. The ideation, you make sketches, you concoct scenarios, you build creative frameworks, you apply integrative thinking, put the customers in the midst of everything, prototype, and then pitch your idea. And then the last one is execute the vision, write the essay or pitch your idea and move on to the next project. The conclusion is that creativity is something, that's what they came up with, is something you practice, not just a talent you are born with. And all these activities are features new to the classroom and encourage learning and the retaining of information. Design thinking could be used by teachers in mapping out a new course. And this is what I tried during the training program. Our challenge was redesign higher education. And we were divided into 5 groups, and the ideas that came up were really amazing. So it also develops the students' critical thinking skills, problem solving, communication, and collaboration skills, in addition to achieving the course goals. So I hope I have explained it. I was rushing because I thought I was going to be, go over time, and I don't want to go over time. So we have 5 minutes now for questions. Thank you very much for listening.